As the war in Ukraine continues and grows in complexity, there are a number of charities that are providing relief and recovery. Previously, I connected with several large international relief organizations, and today I'm spotlighting Nova Ukraine, a 501c3 registered nonprofit dedicated to providing humanitarian aid to Ukraine and raising awareness about Ukraine in the US, as well as the rest of the world. And today I'm joined by Ostap Korkuna, who is the co-founder and co-chair of the board at Nova Ukraine. Ostap, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken, for inviting me.
Of course. Well, let's get started. What is Nova Ukraine and why was it created?
So Nova Ukraine was founded a little over 8 years ago here in San Francisco Bay Area, more exactly in Palo Alto. A couple of us got together as a continuation of the support for Revolution of Dignity. Back then, the Euromaidan, people who were following events in Ukraine might remember those events. And we supported those pro-democratic movements, pro-European movements back then. And we decided to create a charity that could be sustainable and continue helping Ukraine. Some of the listeners, viewers will know that right after the Revolution of Dignity, the war in the eastern parts of Ukraine started. So when we were talking about the Russia attacking Ukraine, it actually started 8 years ago. And we started providing relief on the ground at that point. We set our mission as threefold. So raising awareness about Ukraine, explaining what's happening on the ground, providing humanitarian aid to the most vulnerable groups in Ukraine, and also helping build a strong civil society in Ukraine. We believe this is the future of Ukraine as a prosperous and successful country in its civil society. So we've been providing support for that, especially support for education. And so there was a number of projects we supported, including the relief project for internally displaced people from the very beginning of the conflict on the eastern part of Ukraine. And when Russia started this full-scale attack on February 24th, we obviously accelerated our efforts. We put all the other projects on hold, and we focused only on one single project, which is providing humanitarian relief to the people affected by the war.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's enlightening. I mean, I think that everybody understands that it's been something that's occurred for quite some time, but it's interesting and compelling that your organization was kind of born out of that conflict and has been engaged in that space for quite some time. And so I imagine that much of the work that you've been doing has helped prepare to be able to scale up and meet the needs of the people that really need it. How do you see the work that you're doing being different in regards to how other organizations are providing relief and recovery to the folks in Ukraine?
So we are, in a nutshell, we are a grassroots organization. We've been created as a volunteering organization. All of our leadership, no one takes salaries. We're all volunteers. We have very small paid staff in Ukraine, which helps us put the money back into Ukrainian economy, pay taxes in Ukraine, but also provide help. But the way we operate is very much aligned with how we provide aid, which is we work with the similar grassroots initiatives on the ground. We have more than 3,000 volunteers on the ground in Ukraine that we partner with and help to, from small, individual volunteers working in their little town or village and providing aid to people there, to larger organizations well established in Ukraine. We have this partner network, and this is how we are able to understand the needs on the ground and reassess them continuously. We are able to deliver the aid directly to the people, and we are able to be very efficient at it. So we can, from fundraising to delivering aid to helping individuals on the ground, which we're able to help close to 2 million people now, is something, our efficiency and is something that we definitely can be proud of. And not to even mention that we are all Ukrainians ourselves. Everyone, almost everyone in the group is connected to Ukraine, some in one way or another. I have a family back in Ukraine. All of our directors and a lot of our volunteers have families back. So we're in it for many reasons, and we are in it for a long time. So we'll continue providing support after hopefully soon the Ukraine will win the war.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And it's definitely something that I've seen and felt over the past 2 decades in the nonprofit sector is that the organizations that are really doing the best work are the organizations that are collaborating, whether it's with other organizations or with the individuals that they're serving. That constituent feedback loop is just so incredibly important of actually giving people what they need and bettering your programs as a result of the input that you're getting from having eyes and ears on the ground. So Ostap, to that end, what are you seeing and hearing on the ground in Ukraine at this point?
So the situation have been evolving, and can't really say that has been improving that much, just because so many civilians are being affected and targeted. We all see the huge numbers of people being leaving the country, but also the number of people relocating internally is even larger. We, as an organization, we have to deal with all of these challenges of evacuating people from the dangerous places close to the war zone. This is a continuous effort. In fact, evacuation has been one of the primary focuses for us too recently. And at the same time, not everyone can evacuate or is willing to. There are people who are less mobile. There are people who are just don't want to leave their homes, and we cannot leave them either. So it's a combination of those who cannot evacuate or do not wish to. We have to support basic supplies to them, because think about it, people living close to the war zone, logistics does not work. The stores are closed, the pharmacies are closed, they cannot go to the store to buy anything. So we have volunteers delivering food, feeding people, like cooking lunches, delivering food packages, delivering first kind of medical packages, baby care, all of those. So that is still an important thing. And the bomb shelters as well, right? We have to be kind of thinking a little bit ahead and think where the civilians will be targeting the most, and understand where we have to equip the bomb shelters so where people have to spend sometimes days in them. And the winter is coming, so the days will get colder. And this is another challenge that we have to be start prepare for. All of this seems like a lot of things, but with support, with continuous support of donors, we can make a dent. We can improve the lives of people, of thousands of people, or even millions of people, which are in a really, really terrible situation right now.
Yeah, well, I give a lot of credit to the people that are putting themselves in harm's way to go out and help the people that that can't actually relocate. In addition to that, I think one of the things that you hit on there too is there's the incredible need for continued support. You have it where in a moment of crisis, there's often kind of an influx interest in media, and then donors will follow and say, like, I want to alleviate that pain that other people are experiencing and take an action. But it is really a matter of that, what's happening in Ukraine is not something that resolved in, a couple of months, and it's likely, the rebuild is going to take several years. So if people have committed to that, this is an area that's of interest and passion for them, is something that they should, continue to invest in and see the return on investment from the impact that they're making.
Absolutely. And just something to remind people about is it is indeed harder to keep people's attention on the problem for a long time, but the problem does not go away. And we realize that even after the war is over, we will have to continue the work for
the need will continue to be great. So Ostap, how being that you've been so deeply involved in the country for the past 8 years, and going through COVID and all of that, how are you seeing the current situation being different than the other crises that you've been involved with previously?
So we've been working on the ground for 8 years, and in a way, I think when we started our conversation, mentioned that we were somewhat prepared, but I do want to call out that it's very hard to be prepared to the crisis of this scale. When the buildup of troops on the border started, which was late last year, beginning of this year, before the full-scale attack, we were already starting to prepare and starting to kind of assess what can we do. And we were ready when the day it started, we were ready to start basically accumulating efforts. It's in a way we can say that some of the problems are similar to the ones we were dealing with for the past 8 years on the ground. At the same time, the scale of the problems is just much larger. So we were somewhat prepared, but we are also, just like everyone else, were caught by surprise on February 24th, and we realized that we have to build a bigger network of partners. We have to find those partners that still operate, because they are on the ground. It was really hard for our existing partners to continue operating. So we had to basically kind of rebuild our logistic, our partnership, our programs almost from the ground up. And the organization scaled a lot. We were lucky to involve many more volunteers and supporters, and it's helped us have a larger impact than we ever had as an org.
So to that point, if there's people that are watching and they want to be able to help you and your team in your efforts, what are some of the ways that they can do that?
So there's definitely the most effective way to provide help is still to monetary donations. We are a 501c3 charity, so the donations in the United States are tax deductible. We can reassess the needs all the time, and we can direct the donations where they are needed in the most efficient way. But of course, there are other ways to help, and ensuring that Ukraine stays at the top of the informational channels, social media, or the classic media. It's important to engage people around you in your circles, but also there are other ways, and there are just so many ways to help. We help refugees. We have a refugee portal on our website, novaukraine.org. Everyone can go there, and if you are in the United States, especially in California, you can donate goods. You can donate electronics or your car, or you can provide housing. We've been trying to help in every way possible by both providing aid ourselves or through like channeling the donations of our donors, but also by connecting. We have a number of organizations that we verified that we can connect people with to do like medical donations or to provide housing, or other ways to help Ukrainians who either had to relocate and leave their home and ended up in the United States or in Europe, or by donating and shipping those really life-saving medical aid to Ukraine. So there is a number of ways. A lot of them are available on our website, and definitely donations, especially like regular donations, are absolutely critical to keep providing the help.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate all the work that you're doing and taking some time to connect with me and enlightening us on some of the things that your organization's doing and certainly seeing on the ground, and just so incredibly appreciative for all that you're doing.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having us. And on behalf of Nova Ukraine and people of Ukraine, thank you for supporting us.
Of course.